Roger Hebert for wife Elizabeth, and we're going to be in the 24th chapter of 2 Chronicles. We're doing 4 chapters a day. It gets us through the Bible, and in the Old Testament, just a little over a year, and in the New Testament, under a year. We do kind of a panorama. So we saw yesterday how Athaliah, the queen, after she'd killed all the grandchildren, however, she didn't kill this one, and he survived, and they made him king. He was 6 or 7 years old when he became king, and now he's a little older, and he's going to reform. He starts out well, ends up bad. Then that's too bad. Anyway, but he starts out well. Joash, this 24th chapter. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned. Let me turn the page here. And he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Joash did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Jehoiada got for him 2 wives, and he had sons and daughters. It's interesting. Jesus, in his ministry, used Jehoiada's son as an example when he said from, I believe it was Cain to Zechariah, were slain at, Abel to Zechariah, godly people who were slain. And that was the son of Jehoiada. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, after this, Joash decided to restore the house of the Lord, and he gathered the priests and the Levites and said to them, "Go out to the cities of Judah and gather from all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year, and see that you act quickly." But the Levites did not act quickly. So the king summoned Jehoiada, the chief, and said to him, "Why have you not required the Levites to bring in from Judah and Jerusalem the tax levied by Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the congregation of Israel, for the tent of testimony? For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken into the house of God and had also used the dedicated things of the house of the Lord for the Baals." So the king commanded, and they made a chest and set it outside the gate of the house of the Lord, and proclamation was made throughout Judah and Jerusalem to bring in for the Lord the tax that Moses, the servant of God, laid on Israel in the wilderness. And all the princes and all the people rejoiced and brought their tax and dropped it into the chest until they had finished. And whenever the chest was brought to the king's officers by the Levites, when they saw that there was much money in it, the king's secretary and the officer of the chief priest would come and empty the chest and take it and return it to its place. Thus they did day after day and collected money in abundance. And the king and Jehoiada gave it to those who had the charge of the work of the house of the Lord. And they hired masons and carpenters to restore the house of the Lord, and also workers in iron and bronze to repair the house of the Lord. So those who were engaged in the work labored, and the repairing went forward in their hands. And they restored the house of God to its proper condition and strengthened it. And when they had finished, they brought the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada, and with it were made utensils for the house of the Lord, both for the service and for the burnt offerings, and dishes for incense, and vessels of gold and silver. And they offered burnt offerings in the house of the Lord regularly all the days of Jehoiada. But Jehoiada grew old and full of days and died. He was 130 years old at his death, and they buried him in the city of David among the kings, because he had done good in Israel toward God and his house. See how a godly guy gets things done? But now watch. Now after the death of Jehoiada, the princes of Judah came and paid homage to the king. Then the king listened to them, and they abandoned the house of the Lord, the God of their fathers, and served the Asherim and the idols. Isn't that just terrible? Don't you just hate it? And wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this guilt of theirs. Yet he sent prophets among them to bring them back to the Lord. These testified against them, but they would not pay attention. Then the Spirit of God clothed Zechariah. See, I told you it was listed in the New Testament with Jesus. Jesus mentioned Zechariah. Then the Spirit of God clothed Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest. And he stood above the people and said to them, Thus says God, why do you break the commandments of the Lord, so that you cannot prosper? Because you have forsaken the Lord, he has forsaken you. But they conspired against him, and by command of the king, they stoned him with stones in the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash the king did not remember the kindness that Jehoiada, Zechariah's father, had shown him, but killed his son. And when he was dying, he said, May the Lord see and avenge. So Joash is assassinated. At the end of the year, the army of the Syrians came up. See, they had peace when they were worshiping God, but the minute they go away, things break out. So now at the end of the year, the army of the Assyrians came up against Joash. They came to Judah and Jerusalem and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people and sent all their spoil to the king of Damascus. Though the army of the Syrians had come with few men, the Lord delivered into their hand a very great army, because Judah had forsaken the Lord, the God of their fathers. Thus they executed judgment on Joash. When they had departed from him, leaving him severely wounded, his servants conspired against him because of the blood of the son of Jehoiada, the priest, and killed him on his bed. So he died, and they buried him in the city of David. But they did not bury him in the tombs of the kings. Those who conspired against him were Zabad, the son of Shimeath the Ammonite, and Jehozabad, the son of Shimrith the Moabite. Account of his sons and of the many oracles against him and of the rebuilding of the house of God are written in the story of the book of the kings. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his place. So Joash started well, ended poorly. Isn't that a shame? And man, when as the kingdom goes, and that's true here in America, I guarantee you, when you have a bad president, it just trickles all the way down to the people. When you have a godly one, then everything starts going good. So it's just God's way of telling us. And now we're going to Ezekiel, be in the 34th chapter.